We like to pretend that we're open to love and connection, but deep down, many of us secretly fear being found and controlled by others. This isn't about some grand, dramatic revelation, but rather a quiet, insidious pattern that plays out in our most intimate relationships. If you've ever felt an inexplicable urge to sabotage a good thing, or if you've struggled to let someone in, you're not alone. I've seen it in myself, and in countless others. In this video, I'll take you on a journey to explore the hidden attachment and abandonment dynamics that hold people back from fully embracing love and commitment. We often think that our struggles with love and commitment are purely adult issues. But the truth is, they are rooted in the earliest relationships of our lives, the ones that shaped our attachment style and set us up for a lifelong game of attachment and abandonment. Early experiences with caregivers, either nurturing or neglecting, create a template for how we perceive intimacy and trust, influencing our ability to form healthy relationships as adults. Those who were raised in environments where their needs were consistently met may struggle with feelings of anxiety or codependency when they find someone who loves them unconditionally, as it challenges their sense of self-reliance. On the other hand, individuals who grew up in environments of inconsistency or rejection may find themselves drawn to people who are emotionally unavailable or unresponsive, unconsciously seeking validation and reassurance through the pursuit of an unattainable love. This pattern of seeking validation through others often stems from a deep-seated fear of rejection, a fear that can be so ingrained, it becomes a self-protection mechanism, preventing us from opening up to others and forming intimate relationships. However, beneath this fear often lies a more sinister force, the ego, which sees vulnerability as a weakness and intimacy as a threat to its control, causing us to put up barriers and avoid emotional connection with others. Ultimately, our struggles with love and commitment are not about finding the right person, but about confronting the unresolved issues of our past and breaking free from the childhood template that continues to dictate our adult relationships. We tend to overestimate the significance of grand, sweeping gestures in relationships, when in reality, it's the subtle, everyday neglect that can be just as crippling as outright abandonment. Abandonment isn't always physical, it's often emotional, a slow-burning indifference that leaves a partner feeling invisible and unimportant. Behind every person's struggles with love and commitment lies a tangled web of self-deception, where they convince themselves that the pursuit of validation and control is actually a sign of deep emotional connection. When we're drawn to someone, it's often not the genuine, unconditional love we crave, but rather the promise of validation, of being seen as worthy and desirable by someone else. Many people's fear of abandonment stems not from a rational assessment of their partner's reliability, but from their own deep-seated insecurity and sense of unworthiness. And so, we repeat the same patterns of seeking affirmation and control through relationships, not because we're inherently flawed, but because we're wired to respond to the emotional pain of rejection and abandonment with a misguided search for reassurance. When we form relationships, we often unwittingly recreate patterns of behavior that are deeply rooted in our past, a desperate attempt to relive the familiarity of what we know, even if it's a toxic dynamic. Most of us are unaware of the ways in which our attachment styles and insecurities shape our relationships, causing us to inadvertently push partners away or cling to them too tightly, usually to validate our own sense of self-worth. We often pursue relationships that reflect our deep-seated need for control, a misguided attempt to compensate for feelings of powerlessness or abandonment from our past. But ultimately, this only reinforces our negative patterns. One of the most insidious ways we sabotage our relationships is by using people to fulfill our ego's desire for external validation, rather than finding self-worth within ourselves. And this is where we often experience a deep fear of intimacy, because true closeness requires us to let go of control and be vulnerable. At its core, attachment is a fragile dance between our need for security and our innate desire for independence. But when we're driven by fear and insecurity, we tend to lean into the familiar pattern of abandonment, using our partners as a mirror to reflect our own unresolved emotions. Our relationships are rarely about attraction or love alone, but also about the deep psychological need to relive and reenact past traumas, to confront and reconcile the unfinished business of our childhood and adolescence. When we convince ourselves that we're fine and independent, we're really just masking the deep-seated need for validation and connection that's been wounded in the past. Many of us have a habit of creating these elaborate defenses, what I call the web of deception, where we pretend to be uninterested or unattached, but in reality, we're desperately searching for someone who can fill the void left by childhood wounds or past relationships. By presenting ourselves as unavailable or aloof, we're actually trying to control the terms of our relationships and mask our own deep-seated fear of abandonment and rejection. In our quest for love and commitment, we often end up attracting people who are willing to engage in this game of cat and mouse with us, and it becomes a self-perpetuating cycle of attachment and abandonment. The irony is, when we're hiding behind our defenses, we're not actually protecting ourselves, we're just giving others permission to hurt us in ways that we think we can handle. Ultimately, these patterns of self-protection and self-deception are rooted in our own deep-seated fears and insecurities, and until we're willing to confront and heal those wounds, we'll continue to struggle with love and commitment. Our attachment issues aren't about the other person, they are about our deep-seated need for validation and acceptance, a craving that drives us to pursue love in ways that are ultimately self-destructive. The reason we settle for partners who consistently sabotage our emotional boundaries is that they are often a manifestation of our own unresolved insecurities, the shadowy parts of our psyche that we'd rather keep hidden from the world. Insecurities are the root cause of our desperate need for control, a need that manifests in relationships as clinginess, possessiveness, or the constant need for reassurance, all of which are actually attempts to avoid feeling powerless and unloved. Authentic attraction isn't based on external qualities, like physical appearance or social status, but rather on an internal sense of connection, a resonance that speaks to our deeper humanity and reminds us of our own capacity for love and connection. The fear of being abandoned is a constant companion to those of us who struggle with attachment issues, and yet it's also a testament to our profound capacity for love, the depth of our emotional investment, and the ways in which we're willing to risk everything for connection. Ultimately, our attachment struggles are a reflection of our ego's fear of surrender, a reluctance to let go of our need for control, and our tendency to conflate our self-worth with the validation we receive from others, a self-deception that keeps us trapped in the very same patterns of love that we claim to despise. I want to thank you for joining me on this journey to uncover the silent game of attachment and abandonment. As we've explored the hidden patterns that often sabotage our love and commitment, I hope you've gained a deeper understanding of yourself and the ones you care about. Take the insights from this video with you, reflect on your own experiences, and let's continue this exploration together by liking, commenting, and subscribing for more thought-provoking content on human psychology.